To start a transition, you have to make a plan and stick to it. People say we've been in a transition for years. To be in a transition, you have to start the transition. It's reactionary. If your direction's always changing, you can't expect to be able to win the league.
To be honest, what was the purpose of any of this? Manchester United officially announced Ruben Amorim's death on Monday morning. Not when he was ranked 15th in the Premier League. Not when he was losing to the 17th place team in the European Cup finals. Not when he was losing the Carabao Cup to Grimsby Town, a team in the 4th level. Not when he was getting into arguments with prominent players one after another, but rather when he was gradually making progress. Despite the absence of his greatest players, he has 3 points from Champions League spots. Additionally, he injured the board's feelings by making a sarcastic remark in the media.
If people cannot handle the Gary Nevilles and the criticism of everything, we need to change the club.
At least Kobbie Mainoo had a pleasant Monday, based on the leaked video. Like everyone else in the football world, I was caught off guard by this when I was putting up a video about Chelsea and how they're such an interestingly run team. I suppose that video will be released next, but everyone agreed that it's clear that Chelsea isn't a team designed to win titles. The primary business model there is obviously player trading and maintaining player value, even if they have just lately started doing so and have shown signs of taking off. Although it's terrible for the fans, at least we can understand what their priorities are. None of us can say with certainty what Manchester United is attempting to do. When they reorganize their whole internal operations to accommodate a new era at the club and spend months looking for a director and leadership staff just to terminate them for not sharing their vision. Brothers, before you picked up the phone, these issues ought to have come up in your study. After just 5 months of employment, Dan Ashworth reportedly cost the club £4.1 million to let go. Ten Hag's offloading cost the team roughly $10 million. To get Amorim, United paid Sporting around $10 million. Additionally, the club will lose an additional $12 million or so in compensation based on his estimated salary and the reported belief that his contract will be paid out in full. This means that United has reportedly spent about £40 million on non-playing staff, mostly to get them to leave. For instance, this is far worse than a player who fails. These individuals are meant to influence the way the club plays and functions. To make matters even more hilarious, Dan Ashworth is rumored to have had little interest in signing Amorim at all, preferring safer Premier League tested or English possibilities because of how much the team had changed. Gareth Southgate was reportedly one of the names he proposed at the time. Even if it would be fascinating to talk about this, Amorim and he are actually no longer with us, so what's the point? I suppose an era can expire, as Erik ten Hag phrased it. Hi everyone. I hope all is okay with you. Welcome back. As previously said, I was finishing up the Chelsea video this morning. For a brief moment, I was thrilled to be discussing another clown show, but United showed me that while Chelsea may be clowns, United is the entire circus. Take a look at these two. This is not something you can write.
I came here to be the manager of Manchester United, not to be the coach of Manchester United. And that is clear. I know that my name is not Tuchel, is not Conte, is not Mourinho, but I'm the manager of Manchester United.
I can see how frustrating it might be to not get your way when it comes to squad management and planning, but I don't get why he said this when it was obvious to almost everyone what his viewpoint was from the beginning. This is the announcement in plain text. Amorim is named head coach of United. Head coach, November 2024. Furthermore, Sir Jim Ratcliffe and numerous other club members have emphasized this terminology. Before he signed the contract, he was undoubtedly made acutely aware of the differences behind closed doors. We don't need anyone to verify that, I promise. You must thus consider what he was considering in this situation. The most likely scenario in this case is that something significant happened behind closed doors that we might or might not ever learn about. All of the standard sources have previously verified this. It's simply the bitterness he expressed throughout the press conference. That's not something we typically see from him.
I'm not going to quit. I will do my job until other guy is coming here to...
Back me or sack me, he told the board outright. However, he was fired. Was the blowout caused by money set aside for Antoine Semenyo, but he was informed that it wouldn't be transferred to a midfielder once that trade was off the table? Is it because the man wants to take his money and get away because he is tired of the weather in Manchester? Is it because he frequently receives phone calls in the middle of the night, only to hear the person on the other end take slow, deep breaths before hanging up without saying anything? He can't prove it, but he knows it's Kobbie Mainoo. Was that the trio in the rear formation? That is undoubtedly what set things off, according to Sam Wallace of The Telegraph. Amorim reportedly became enraged when the subject was brought up in an internal meeting prior to the Leeds match. If not, the club just wasn't satisfied with Amorim's improvement during this time at the club, which is a reasonable explanation that we are witnessing and probably will continue to see as the news spreads. They have the right to do that, you know. They can accomplish that, and it's reasonable if they haven't noticed enough advancements. However, it only makes sense in the absence of the context that it was reaffirmed that Amorim would have the entire 3 years of his contract to prove himself. Man, I have no idea. Of the two claims, one is untrue. Was Amorim the issue, then? Let's be honest, after all. I believe that many United supporters are probably a little bit relieved and happy that this happened in the back of their minds, even though there is a lot of fire and fury at the front of it simply because of all this nonsensical behavior, even though this announcement was shocking and the framing of the whole thing was quite brash. As the United manager, Ruben Amorim was many different things. When he first arrived, he exuded a certain swagger. According to the press conferences, the man was personable and self-assured. For a considerable amount of time, the outcomes never favored him. To this Harry Fell's dismay, he never managed to win more than 3 straight Premier League games. I would think that the majority of Manchester United supporters weren't very fond of his system. It's not the system either. Okay, so it's not the entire 343 configuration. That doesn't mean it doesn't work. Numerous teams have found success using it. It has been successful for Ruben Amorim. 3 of the back systems have helped teams win the Premier League. The issue was that the structure's particular flavor wasn't functioning. It was obvious that his system was not tailored to the Premier League, whether it was the individuals he had or the system as a whole. It wasn't. Additionally, he has stated this numerous times. However, things have clearly improved and been improving this season. He would undoubtedly argue with you more than others that having the right midfielders and staff would make everything work out for him. However, I don't know how you can expect to succeed if you need a total overhaul of the personnel and system to fit your unique football playstyle and you aren't at least willing to try out a different structure that fits the pieces of the puzzle that you already have until you can get the pieces that you need. Naturally, I can't speak for United supporters in this circumstance, but if I had to guess, I would say that most of them aren't very angry about Amar's departure. He may not have done enough to earn such an attachment, in my opinion. The revolving door model and the nature of the appointment are the only factors. Just to refresh your memory, 14 months ago, Ruben Amorim looked like this. He has aged 10 years and won thanks to this club. I don't blame you for accepting the position even if you weren't the best candidate. Enjoy your family, your health, your break, and your severance. King, you deserve it. This club is really annoying. How in the world can you have so much money and resources and yet they are unable to grasp the most fundamental concepts? It's possible that Manchester United is the only team where the average fan is interested in the names and responsibilities of every employee, from Larry in accounting to directors and support staff. We've all come to the realization that there must be some source of the rot. Additionally, we have individuals carrying out in-depth research to identify the source. It's just so weird. Additionally, when it comes to hiring, you examine these men's beliefs and morals. You assure them that they will have a set amount of time to come up with a solution. Everyone is aware that these words are meaningless. Recall that Ralf Rangnick was appointed interim manager, claiming that the club needed open heart surgery to get anywhere. Additionally, it appears that working with Ten Hag was disliked, or vice versa. That was only 3.5 years ago. Do you recall the fall of Ten Hag 14 months ago? Amar Wheels. Today was that day. I'm not sure if it's intentional or not, but they keep adding chapters to my United Manager series. This is where we are at the moment. For the time being, Darren Fletcher has assumed the interim position. Oddly enough, he now has the opportunity to have children of his own and is unlikely to face much criticism for doing so. Enjoy yourselves, my brother. The season has just begun. When it comes to who will finally be handed the role at the end of the day, your guess is as good as mine. In moments like this, Ole Gunnarsson's remarks regarding Carlo Ancelotti's viewpoint on the work come to mind. How many real great coaches will want to play football for teams like Chelsea and Manchester United, where they are subject to so many rules? Not many, in my opinion. As a result, I don't see many of the names that are being tossed into the hat regarding people who will eventually become full-time managers, because most of these guys are pretty volatile and opinionated. They are excellent coaches because of these qualities. By the way, Ruben Amorim was obviously doing the same thing that Oliver, depending on how they do. Some are even speculating that Thomas Tuchel may leave England after the World Cup. Subscribe to Kickster Facts and turn on notifications for real football facts you won't hear anywhere else.